you so much for joining us today. You're up in Auckland, I'm in Wanaka.
No, good to be on here, and thanks for the invite.
Firstly, 5 years to be in business in anything is a great milestone for anyone, let alone when you are the first, if you like, or pioneering a brand new industry, as you've sort of done in the financial markets here in New Zealand. Thinking back to before you were launching Snowball Effect, does it feel like 5 years?
It depends what day you ask me, whether it feels like 5 years or not. You know, on a good day, and I think on an objective day, probably is the way to think about it. You know, you can think actually we've achieved a lot in a reasonably short space of time. But like any person that runs a business, sort of big, medium, or large, you know, there's days that you have, of course, where you know, you feel like you've been slogging away forever. But I think, as I was saying, I think, you know, if you can be objective about what's happened and sort of step back and look at it, I think oftentimes you'd be pretty proud of what you've achieved as a business over a period of time, whatever that time frame is. So I know it's been a good 5 years. We've been really happy with the progress, and you know, it's taken, I guess, like any other young business, it's probably taken a bit of a different path than what we thought probably it would, but it's been really positive. So happy with things so far.
I remember back to you know, before you were launched and the news came out, you got the tick from the Financial Markets Conduct Authority to do equity crowdfunding. Again, you know, very new in New Zealand, and indeed we were ahead of Australia, right? They only got the ability to operate this sort of a funding market, I think, a year or two ago. You know, you're 5 years into an overnight success, I'd say, but actually before that, there was a couple of years of planning and working through the logistics, wasn't there?
Yeah, like I think it was a reasonably unique situation to be in. One, because of what you just mentioned, you sort of had this regulatory reform that came through sort of mid-2014. But I guess for us, it was unique as well because, you know, if you're building another business, let's say it was a software business, you know, you'd sort of, or any business really, whether you're food and beverage, whatever, you know, you're just going to get out there and you're going to get some product in people's hands or get people using it and tasting it or whatever the case may be, and you sort of just go from there. This was quite different because we sort of had this regulatory gate in front of us, and there was only so much you could do before that gate was opened. And so we were sort of, you know, we're working with MB, who were drafting the regulations, and then the FMA obviously oversee them. So we had to go through this process of, well, what do regulations look like? And there was sort of market feedback around that sort of thing, and obviously we participated in that. You know, how would the licensed platforms actually operate? And obviously to build something, and then, you know, how do they run and how are they licensed and what's the licensing process like? So yeah, we were the guinea pigs through, and that was an interesting process, I guess. But look, it was, you know, in hindsight, I think it probably went pretty smoothly. You know, I think comparing to what the case has been and will be in other countries and other regulatory jurisdictions, yeah, I think we operate with some sort of freedom here, which is good. And, you know, I think they sort of have the regulations of each have sort of been designed to be reasonably user-friendly. Part of the reason, at least, of why we formed the business was to have a real positive impact on the capital markets here in New Zealand, make them more meaningful, make them more relevant for people, and sort of go from there. So, you know, with respect to that, I think we're pretty happy with how things have gone.
Just in terms of some of the, you know, I guess the impact stats, have you got any numbers top of your mind? What have we seen Snowball Effect achieve over the 5 years that you've been going in terms of businesses helped, funds raised, innovation accelerated?
You know, ultimately, what we want to be measuring is kind of returns to investors. And, you know, there's probably another 3 or 4 years, I would guess, before, you know, you start to get some meaningful stats around that kind of thing. You know, we sort of talked a bit about, you know, kind of the company side of it. But I think, you know, it clearly has to work both ways in terms of, you know, investors are getting a good return on the risks that they're taking on as well. And it's seen as a really viable asset class, rather than sort of, you know, kind of donating to some business and never seeing your money again. So I think that's a really important thing. But in terms of like kind of the general stats that you would look at, things like capital raise. So I think we just clocked over about 57 million of equity capital raised in that 5-year period, which is probably about on par with where we thought we'd get to about 5 years ago. It's just sort of been steadily building year on year, which has been really cool. We've worked with about 45 different companies. Some of those companies have had sort of multiple rounds of capital that they've raised. So, that's, again, it's a good number of companies that we've been able to work with. We've been able to introduce, multiple directors to operate and support those companies at a board and governance level, which is, I think, another space where there's room for improvement within the New Zealand ecosystem. And then we've got 21,000 investors. Not all of those have invested. I think we've had something like 6,500 unique investments through our platform. We have a reinvestment rate of about a third. So what that means that for every 10 investments that have come through, you get around about 3 to 4 people making a second investment or a third investment, so on and so forth, which is good because you want to see people building a portfolio in this asset class. It is at the higher risk end of what you can put your money into, and you want to see people sort of being sensible about that and taking a portfolio approach, so they're not sort of loading up the proverbial eggs into one basket. So that's been pleasing as well, and it's something that we monitor pretty closely.
What are the types of businesses or the uses of funds that you've seen succeed or do better in some respects than, say, others? Like, I'm just thinking it from the entrepreneur's point of view. I'm considering my options. Do I go direct to my local angel investment club, or do I go crowd equity funding, or what?
Yeah, I think you kind of need to understand what the landscape is in New Zealand, and I think make sure you're well researched on what your options are, because there are options out there. I guess sort of the way that we would think about it here is kind of you've got your angel type investors for the really early stage sort of seed angel series type investment rounds. In terms of where we sit, we're probably a bit north of there, so you kind of want to be, probably call it $1 million revenue or something like that. You've clearly got a product or a service that people like, and it's more of a question around scaling that business and growing it through to that next phase of sort of 4 or 5 million of revenue, and then on from there. That's probably where we would kick in if we're thinking about the New Zealand landscape or the capital raising ecosystem. But I think any founder or entrepreneur really wants to have, I think, a pretty good understanding of what the options are here in New Zealand, because there are options out there. You can go down the formal angel channel and talk to the different angel groups who are around the place. Obviously you can look to hustle your own network through the friend and families. And then you can look offshore. There are, depending on the type of business that you are, potentially offshore investors are going to be, a good option for you. But I think, ultimately you want to get as far as you can, I think, without trying to raise capital, demonstrate that, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur who can take a business a long way with not much. Get some good revenues, really understand your customer, kind of all that classic, understand what problem your business is solving, and then whatever route you take, that'll stand you in good stead for going from there. I think as well, you want to also get people in around the business that can really add value to you and add value to your business. And I think if I think about Snowball effect and what we've done, something that I'm always really grateful for is the people that we got on board really early on. And, we kind of did it in sort of ignorance of anything really, but it just was the decision we made. It sort of seemed right at the time. But, having good people that had built businesses before and understood, in our case, the capital markets really well, that was really good. And I don't think we would have got to where we are today without those people who are still involved. So that's something possibly over and above money that I would thoroughly recommend based on our experience and certainly what we see with the companies we work with as well.
There's some super cool advice here, guys. And this is the other thing we've all got to be mindful of here as well. You yourselves, you are helping other entrepreneurs build their dreams, bring their visions to life through the services you provide. But at the same time, you've been going on your own entrepreneurial journey. And so, look, hats off to you for making that happen, getting this far, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next 5 years, as I'm sure you are. So, and if we look ahead to that, what's next for Snowball Effect? I believe you're going to be launching into Australia. Well, that's on the horizon.
So we have actually launched our Australian website. So that is it's a website that I guess I'd call it a bit of an investor directory. So the idea is taking Kiwi businesses to Australian investors. We know that Aussies have a reasonable appetite for Kiwi businesses. Half the private equity funds here in New Zealand are Aussie funds, and they've traditionally done pretty well out of the New Zealand capital markets. And we know that they've got an interest in investing into private Kiwi business. So what we've done is we've built a website, so snowballeffect.com.au, which is just a website for high net worth, sophisticated Australian investors to register, and then they can tell us a bit about what kind of businesses that they want to invest in or be involved with, what industries, what sectors, that kind of thing. And then we'll send them opportunities or get in touch with them when the right kind of business comes along and sort of matches their profile. So that's where we're starting off. We've got a number of conversations going over in Australia at the moment with a couple of different groups that we may look to do something with. But it's just a bit of a foot in the market, because I do think there's an opportunity for, I guess, a greater flow of capital and information between New Zealand and Australia. They've got a far deeper capital market, and there's plenty of businesses that want to do or are currently doing business in Australia that could benefit from some Australian money going in. We've started to see a couple of VCs set up shop here in New Zealand. And they'll be after a particular type of company. They'll have a specific mandate that they want to meet. But there's plenty of other businesses as well that may not meet that mandate or may not be suitable for those VCs that are interested in tapping into some Australian high net worths and accessing some of their networks and that sort of thing as well, and some of their expertise. So that's just something that we're sort of kicking off quietly, and we'll get into it more next year. So that's one of the things we've got going. Other thing that we're building is we've already got a share register as part of the Snowball Effect website. So a share register is kind of the illegal record of how many shares have been issued on your cap table, and on the investor side, how many shares they own. A lot of people sort of think it's the company's office, but the company's office is really just meant to be a public record of what the share register has. So we're building, as I say, we're splitting it out. We've already built it, we're splitting it out, putting some more features around it to make it really a single source of truth for service providers, so lawyers, accountants, for directors of companies, and for shareholders, so that they are all looking at the same information, whether it's cap tables, whether it's legal documentation, all the things that surround a young company and a company as it's growing that inevitably change over time and need to be tracked and monitored, because things can get pretty sticky if those things aren't accurate or get lost, which can often happen.
And then next question is around maybe a secondary market. There was some talk a while ago of perhaps looking to develop some sort of market where people who have invested in some of the Snowball Effect capital raises may be able to now put their shares that they own up for sale or to trade or on a secondary sort of market. Is that still on the cards?
Yeah, so we're not building a market per se. I need to be careful about what I say here, just for regulatory reasons. But we've built some technology which really allows a company to facilitate the trading of shares within that company. So it's a nice, simple way for them to provide shareholders with the ability to go in there and buy and sell. So it creates real transparency around that process. Sort of nice, easy user face for people to see what's happening, get access to information, understand who else is trading in that market. But it allows companies, and they don't have to raise capital through Snowball effect, but really any company in New Zealand that wants to offer some liquidity to shareholders and potentially bring in some new ones, offers them basically a technology and administration service, which provides effectively a window or an event for that trading to take place. So it's not sort of a market that trades 250 days a year. It's just simply some software that allows that company to offer a window to investors. So it could be 7 days, could be 10 days, something like that, with some information. And then obviously that's attached to a share registry, and it allows those investors to go in, so buy some more shares and sell some more shares, and clears the volume of buyers and sellers at a market price. So that's something that we're just testing in the market at the moment. We've had a pretty good response to it. So you'll probably see a bit more about that next year. So this last quarter has really just been a bit of testing in market.
Right. Clearly, you guys feel that, well, from what you're seeing out there, that there is a demand for that. Otherwise, I'm sure you wouldn't be looking into it, right? But yeah.
Yeah, look, I think, kind of generally within the New Zealand market, we know that, there's probably about 40 companies in New Zealand that have real liquidity, and the rest really struggle. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, sort of size of the market, sort of some of the structures around the market in terms of what brokers will and won't cover, and sort of provide information around. So that certainly helps facilitate a lack of liquidity within New Zealand companies. But, we're keen to explore other alternatives and different models around secondary trading that we think and we hope will provide real value for those companies that do want to offer their shareholders liquidity.
Well, guys, this has been Simeon Burnett. He's the CEO and one of the co-founders of Snowball Effect, celebrating 5 years existence in the New Zealand capital markets.
Thanks very much.